Oh, okay. Listen. So I've been in real estate. I've been in real estate 16 years. In that 16-year period, I've done a little over 300 flips myself. And there's been an area of real estate that has eluded me that I wanted to be a part of. And that's multifamily. And not until 2 years ago that I bet on me and I stepped out in a room kind of like this and I wrote the biggest mentorship check that I've... My music, man. Okay. I wrote the biggest mentorship check that I've ever written that put me in rooms like this. And I met every one of these amazing people in rooms like that as a result of me saying yes to myself. So in 24 months, I now own over 1,000 doors around the country that eluded me for, oh, thank you. That eluded me for 14 of my 16 years as a real estate investor. So I want to bring some of my friends to the stage that help me close that gap between my now and my not yet in the area of commercial real estate. So help me bring to the stage my girl, Cecilia, number one up. Come on, pump the music up. And then one of my number one cheerleaders, my girl, Brooke. My partner in crime, he's the youngest owner-operator that I know, Mr. Adrian! My brother from another mother, he's a builder, he's a developer, he's a dreamer, and he's my frat brother, Mr. Joe J! All right, y'all have a seat. Cut the music. All right. Now, like I said earlier, I personally wrote the largest check that I had ever written for mentorship. And like Vina said earlier, mentorship is the thing that shrinks time frames for you, right? You get with somebody that has a proven track record, and that's what I did. I met Adrian in that community. We bought a 200-unit, $18 million apartment complex in San Antonio, and it's killing the game right now. I met Brooke. We bought a, how many units? 400 units?
419.
419 units in North Dallas together. I met Joe. Well, I met Joe. I ain't met Joe in the group. I met Joe. I don't know how I met Joe. But I met Joe somewhere. And then Cecilia, we partnered on a deal in the one in Arlington.
133 units.
133 units that we bought last year for $13 million. And so these are the people that have been the catalyst for me to help me do something that I so always desperately wanted to do. And they've helped me do it so good that my baby girl Madison is graduating next, this upcoming spring from the UT Austin, one of the most expensive public schools in the state, with zero debt. Because of what I've been able to leverage through these people on this panel. So, Cecilia, how and why did you get into multifamily?
Well, guys, I started as a leasing agent, and in my career, Vina has been a big influence on me getting up here and speaking not just my why, but my value. So I started as a leasing agent and grew into the C-suite position. In 30 years, I have overseen over $1 billion of assets. I have had over 10,000 units. I have sold off hundreds of millions of dollars for others. And I decided that it was time to do it for myself because I was doing it for everybody else. So my why is the desire and the dream that God put in my heart at a very young age. I started out, I was a teen mom. I was on Section 8 at one time. And my heart is in affordable. And my heart is in helping other women and other minorities understand the value that they bring to whatever it is they do. It doesn't have to be real estate. Mine is real estate. That is my superpower. That's what God has blessed me with, and that's what I will push out to others. I believe that that is what creates wealth. I have seen it with my own eyes because I have been part of that wealth creation for others.
Wow. That is powerful. That is powerful. Y'all give her a hand. So, Adrian Salazar, I remember meeting you as part of that multifamily mastermind that I was a part of. And this kid walks up, good looking. I think we were in LA when I first met you. And he was holding court on the patio. You remember that? You don't even remember. So I walk up and everybody's like, Adrian's here, Adrian's here. I'm like, I mean, is he an actor? Who is that over there? I don't know that dude. And they were all sitting around and you were just holding court. And I'm like, who is this young kid? Adrian, tell the story of how you went to the owner-operator's house and knocked on the door. Yeah. Tell that story.
So, guys, Adrian Salazar from a small town, South Texas, McAllen. Some of y'all might not know about it. Average income household, so nothing special, but I wanted something bigger for my life. And so, being young in the business, I've had to do a little bit of extraordinary things like that, to accomplish some stuff. And there was a deal. The owner, found an offer for about $1 million more. I was making an offer at $20 million. He found an offer at 21, and he said if I couldn't match it, that he was going to go with the other owner. Long story short, I ended up finding out his address because everything was public record. I know we were talking about that on the last panel, so thank God. He had an LLC in Texas, so I found it, and he actually lived in California, so I flew overnight. And knocked on his door, and I basically told him, I'm not leaving without a contract. It was gonna be
I would get shot if I did that. I don't look like this.
So yeah, I got the deal done, and I got under contract. I had no idea how I was going to raise the money. I had no idea how it was all going to play out. It was an $8.3 million raise, so it was very big.
How old were you at the time, Adrian?
I was 27. Yeah.
So this kid shows up at your door, knocking on the door, telling you, I'm going to figure it out. Then he gets the guy to agree. Then he has to come and raise $8.3 million from adults. That part. Let that sink. The audacious, how audacious your faith has to be in that. To jump on a plane. How do you even know he was going to be home? How do you know that wasn't old information? There's so many questions that I would want to ask. So when you got up and told that story, because here's what I'll say. Faith and fear are both contagious. So when you told that story in that room of 500 people, I was inspired by that. But go ahead, Adrian.
Yeah, so I mean, that was what, I actually had done a similar story to that before, so my confidence level was up. There was an 88 unit where I also had to go and extend the contract. I didn't need to go negotiate it, I had to go extend it, so I went to go knock on his door, got it done. So the second time around, me going to California, I built that confidence, it made it a little bit easier. But I was still uncomfortable, I had to step out of my comfort zone. I had no idea how I was going to raise that money. I decreased my feasibility from like 30 days to 2 weeks. I had to put $300,000 hard. There was a lot of risk.
Wait a minute. So let me tell you what that means. So when he says I put $300,000 hard, that means that if he doesn't raise that $8.3 million, that $300,000 that he put up at escrow, he loses that money. So when you say hard, that means in multifamily you don't get that back. Shamika, there is no option period like that in commercial. So you put the $300,000 up.
Yeah, and I mean, it wasn't mine either. I had to raise it, so I had to go make. So I mean, a lot of this, big numbers and stuff. You got to have the right network. You got to be in rooms like this. That's also why I joined that mastermind. It was also, the biggest check I'd ever wrote to be a part of that group. And now I'm, friends with all these people. But you got to put yourself out of your comfort zone. You got to step into these rooms with high power players, especially if you're going to be in multifamily. So, I did that, and luckily, I know the market, I know the deal, and I trust in myself. Sometimes you just have to look in the mirror and just say, hey, the only person counting on you is you. And I do believe that I'm the one in my family to break that, $1 million curse. No one in my family has made over 6 figures. So I do believe that I was chosen, and so I have to take responsibility for that. And, I think some of us are also the ones, we just have to really own it and take on that pressure.
I love it. I love it. So, Joe James, builder, developer, commercial. I mean, that's a lot of heavy lifting, man.
It is.
How does that space look like? How did you get into that? But more importantly, how do you sustain that space?
Yeah. So how I got into it, I was working in corporate America. Married at the time, wife was pregnant, building a home. The time when you need to be the most stable and secure, and I got let go. So went from making a 6-figure job to literally making nothing. And so I was like, I'm never going to allow anybody to treat me to the point where I can't feed my family.
Wow.
So from that point, I took a time to where I took my 401k, severance package, unemployment, and I rolled it all together, and I bet on myself. I think a lot of people, when you start thinking about being a businessman or businesswoman, in the Hebrew, it actually means man or woman of faith. So it's a daily mindset of having to step in faith to understand that I have to be better than I was before. So has anybody in this room done one flip? Anybody done a flip? Okay. So if you've done a flip one time, you can do a multifamily, right? You have to build your capacity. You have to be able to build your team. You have to build, if you can do it for one, you take it to a duplex. Then you take it to a smaller 4-plex. Then from there, you can build up from there. But you have to be able to build that capacity. How do you sustain it? You have to have, one, the right financing team, the right construction team, and then from there, you have to be able to scale to what the project is. What we always like to do is overperform and make sure that we promise to our team that, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to be able to complete it within that time frame and going from there. But I think the biggest thing is your reputation to be able to build in capacity. So once you start to do that, everybody in here, don't think that you cannot do it, because you start from a small perspective and you build from there. You start with 1 door, 2 doors, 10 doors, 20 doors, 45 doors. Now, for us, we've been able to build over 1,000 doors as well, too, all throughout the country, right? So how do we do that, right? It takes the proper mindset, the proper team, definitely a lot of faith. I think when I started, I had hair, but you can see what happened. So I've lost, right? Taking some losses, but to be able to sustain that has been something that we look forward to. And our reputation, not only in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, but also throughout the country, is a quality, excellence, and the ability to be able to perform under pressure.
I love that. I love that. Brooke, so you came to the conference last year. You lived in California, and you ain't never been back. Well, you went back for a couple of weeks to sell your house, and you moved your whole beautiful tribe here for multifamily and some other things. How did you get into multifamily?
Hello, everybody. I'm Brooke Ceballos Pinheiro. I now tell people I'm a Cali Texan. My heart's still in Cali, but I'm now local to Texas as of 6 months ago. So, and I'm going to touch on one of the things that he said. Tommy's community here, I was a speaker last year, is 80% the reason why I moved here, okay? Yes, I have my investments here. Yes, I have my partners and my peoples here. However, this community is so phenomenal and so thirsty for knowledge and success and ready to execute that y'all inspired me. It's because of you guys why my Michaela, Marissa, my dog Bella, my handsome Puerto Rican husband back here in the back, hanging out in the top, he wants to be unnoticed, moved here. And I am grateful for meeting Tommy. He likes to be in the shadows, right? But the way I got started in multifamily was I was a regional sales manager. I was in corporate. I was at AT&T. I don't keep it a secret. AT&T. During COVID, I was implementing fiber into corporate buildings where nobody was in these buildings. And so at the moment, I was reading all of Grant Cardone's books, and he discussed different ways to be creative with my sales. I went from making 6 figures plus commission to making about 62 grand a year, and I'm the breadwinner. I had a mortgage, I had a family to support, and I'm like, this is not the business. He had a sales and marketing internship and a marketing Mentorship, signed up for it. I learned some creative ways to make sales during COVID. Went to one of his mentorships, and the sky is the limit, right? Because of being in the room, I have met Tommy. All my business partners are from being in the room. My publishing company started this. My authors, big shout out. I see Karen Singh in the room. I see Dizette back in the room. I have a few of my authors here from Real Women in Real Estate, Miss Cecilia too. Sally, that girl. Okay, I had to, sorry. So because of being in the room in the mentorship, I was able to start 3 businesses of myself. My husband started his business. And the whole point is get up, show up, starts with your mental. And y'all, multifamily is easier than flipping. I'm telling you that right now. I signed up for his mentorship. We're in the middle of our flip. And without Tommy, there's absolutely no way I could do this. This is hard. Flipping houses is hard. It's stressful. And he's doing most of the work. Y'all, Tommy's my leader. And I'm in multifamily, and I did 419 units, 64 units. We were in acquisition for 204. It is so much more easier, y'all, to scale in multifamily than it is in flipping, y'all, busting your butt. Get in multifamily.
So let me tell you why that's true. Because when you buy an apartment, you're buying a business. When you buy a house, your ability to repay the mortgage is predicated on your income. When you buy an apartment complex, we look at the NOI, net operating income, that's predicated by all of the tenants. So when Adrian brought that deal to the table in San Antonio, he said, this is how it's operating now, but these are the areas where we can make improvement. Adrian owns his own management company, so we were able to do what's called vertical integration. So we were able to come in and take over everything. So we were no longer paying third-party vendors for stuff, right? So we owned every part of the process. So when you do that, you're able to do what? You're able to mitigate cost. Because guess what? He owns other assets near or around that apartment complex, so we could share labor. That keeps costs down. So when costs go down, guess what? Profits go up. If profits go up, the NOI or what the property is worth goes up. Adrian, we acquired that property at $18 million. What, almost 2 years ago, right? November would be well, we are in November. November makes 2 years, right? April, okay. And it's now worth what with the improvements?
So we bought it for 19, and I mean, right now the values are kind of still, not where they need to be as far as like the whole market in general. But I would say about 24 million. That's where it's at right now.
That part. So in a couple of years, as the evaluation keeps going up, then we have the ability to go in and cash out. Maintain the property, do a cash out, and either indemnify all of the investors, pay them back, either all or a portion of their money, and then it becomes legacy. So what that means is that if you invested $100,000 on that deal with us, right? And we raise the value, it's cash flowing, we pull that money back out on a loan that's tax-free, Wanda taught us that earlier, and then pay back. So if you put in 100, we give you 100 back, but we're still giving distributions, then that's free money. So at that point, your ROI is infinity because you have nothing invested. That's the power and the beauty of multifamily. Does that make sense? I don't want to talk fast and talk over people's heads. The other thing that I love about the people on this stage is they are committed to making something that looks so big small. They all have webinars and seminars when they have an asset that they're in the process of buying. And for those that are going on a tour tomorrow, we're going to look at some properties. One that we bought last year, one that we're in the process of buying right now. And you're going to get an opportunity to either learn more about it up close and personal or to participate. One of the things to a man and a woman that the people on this panel, when I talked to them off script, they said is that they are adamant about holding the door open for more black and brown people to have a seat at the arena of multifamily, because we've been shut out of that space. I can't tell you how many times I go into meetings, there's 300, 400, 500 people, and they're talking about millions and millions of dollars, and there's not many people that look like me in the room. Would you say that too, Adrian?
Yeah,
100%.
yeah. It's already chopped up by the time it gets to us. So.
Yeah.
So we'll have ancillary positions, and they'll have us doing kind of like the little small menial tasks and stuff like that. But when it comes to the real money, ownership, it's very few. Even I mean, you can go across the country. Far as prominent minority real estate people that are actually doing developments for multifamilies at certain levels, it's very few and far in between. Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, being the president of a management company, working for large management companies and overseeing all these assets, whether it's women or people of black and brown people, we're like this in those rooms, right? So for me to be able to get into that 4% of the C-suite was really major. It was like a major milestone, and grateful to my grandparents because they always told me, don't let anything stand in your way, nothing. And in real estate, ladies, 1% are women, real estate investors, 1%. I could not find a stat for women of color.
Wow.
So think about that. That motivates me even more. I am driven to make this happen, because let me tell you, NAA, the National Apartment Association, did a survey, put out information, and said 53% of the people who work on site are minorities. All right, so I'm getting a little passionate here, because these are our people. These are the people that are working the front lines, that are creating the value, that are leasing the apartments, that are managing people. Let's say I have 4,000 units, and there's an average of four people per unit. That's 16,000 residents. Who do y'all think is taking care of those 16,000 residents? Those people on site. So when you go out there and you're buying these properties, let's not forget who's making this work. And always remember that 53% of these people that work on these assets are those that deal with the toilets that are broken, the cursing, the people that live on our sites. Man, they're only making 30%. Do y'all know what the AMI is in Dallas? It's 110. I'll just tell y'all. 110. Remember the tax strategist up here, Tom Wheelwright's franchise? I can't remember her name, sorry. But 40% tax rate. So when you take 110, somebody who is in an 80% AMI, then they get taxed at 40%, that's $60,000. Do y'all know that they're barely going to be able to afford, family of four, a $1,500 a month rent?
Yeah.
So some of these people who work on our sites are barely breaking that number. And I think that it's important that we all recognize this, and I'm very passionate about it, because those are the ones that I'm going to bring into these ownership groups as well, and bring them to these conferences.
I love it. Give her a hand. So let me say this as we wrap up. And Adrian, I don't know if I've ever said this publicly. When we put that deal together in San Antonio, I was so proud when I started raising money that I was able to show the ownership group. And 80% of the ownership group looked like me. Adrian, Gabe, myself, they were black and brown men and women of color that were owning the company. And that made me feel very good. And we need to normalize that. We're going to normalize that. You guys, give this commercial panel a hand.
Started from the bottom, now we're here. Started from the bottom, now my whole team here. Started from the bottom, now we're here. Started from the bottom, now the whole team here.